Well, it's Thursday, and you all know what that means. Now, usually when it comes to this, I have TNA Ring of Honor. But however, due to some circumstances, AEW Collision decided to be on a Thursday due to the fact of this weekend. So Ring of Honor will be pushed back one day behind. But however, for this episode, we're just going to focus on TNA. Now, TNA, as you all know, has begun the road to lockdown. So battle lines are now being drawn. But we also continue with more of the Knockouts television title tournament. The real question is, who will be advancing? That's a very good question to consider. So we'll find out. And then, of course, finally, AEW Collision. As you know, we're still coming off after Redemption, but a lot of things are taking place. The AEW, of course, trios titles are on the line. This time, challengers have been putting themselves out. Amongst them is the Rascals. So that's going to be a lot of fun. And then, of course, as you know, Will Ospreay still dealing with the situation with the Death Riders after what happened in Redemption. He will deal with Daniel Garcia and plenty other things as well. And then, of course, as always, we wrap up our episode, as usual, with some news updates. Give you guys updates on what's been happening in the world of wrestling, such as what events the promotions are thrown out, who's booked, what matches are set, including developments that are happening in the world of wrestling as we speak. So, let's get ready with another episode of Deleted Wrestle Zone.
Are you ready? Get up, get up! 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 Get up, get up!
Hey everyone, welcome to Deleted Wrestle Zone, all things that is pro wrestling with AEW, NXT, New Japan Pro Wrestling, TNA, the National Wrestling Alliance, various promotions, wrestlers, matches, and championships. I am your host, J-Rod here. So, if you are new to the channel, welcome. This is a channel we do a lot of pro wrestling reviews from various promotions, not only here in the United States, but also in Japan, Mexico, Canada, Europe, the UK. Anywhere wrestling is not as big, but it continues to grow. We even, of course, do discussion videos, talk about various topics such as the wrestlers themselves, the promotions, factions, storylines, whatever we want to talk about. We even, of course, do more news updates. If certain information was unable to be on this episode, we can either put it on the next one or on a separate video by itself. We even, of course, do some real-time news updates to keep you guys on alert if something has happened in the world of wrestling that needs to be addressed ASAP. We even, of course, got the Unagi Sayaka Watch and various other cool wrestling content as well. So if you like what you see, please subscribe to us. So click on that subscribe button. You'll be getting a lot of daily reviews and other cool wrestling content as well. But if you like this episode, please give us a like on the like button or a nice comment in the description down below. Now, enough of the jibber jabbers. School is in session. So let's begin with TNA Wrestling. Alright, TNA Wrestling. Now, many of you have been aware now that we are on the road to lockdown. So this is their next big event. So battle lines are now being drawn for this. Now, our opening match, we have tag team action. We have Ricky Souza and Leon Slater taking on the System, more specifically Eddie Edwards and Cedric Alexander. Now, we know that these two individuals have been dealing with the System for far too long. Of course, Ricky Souza was given an offer to join the System, but he turned them down completely. And of course, Leon Slater, as you know, has to deal with Cedric Alexander, who ruined, of course, the opportunity to break the longest record as the X Division champion. So you know how this is going to play out. The System will do whatever it takes to maintain their status that they are the gatekeepers of TNA. But however, of course, If I was Leon Slater and Ricky Souza, I would keep an eye on, of course, on Alicia. But luckily, things didn't go according to plan for them, because it was Leon Slater that picked up the win with the Swanton 450 in Cedric Alexander. And just like that, 1, 2, 3, yeah boy, it's over. However, during the post-match, because Leon Slater, of course, pinned Cedric Alexander, he told him that he will be cashing in, of course, his shot for the X Division title at Lockdown in a steel cage. And of course, Cedric Alexander's not going to let this happen one way or the other. He said their system doesn't want this, but he called the shot no matter what. Now, Mustafa Ali, as you know, he is in a bit of a pickle, dealing with the fact that his own subordinate, Jason Hotch, is going to challenge him for the TNA International Championship. However, he asked John Skyler to bring everyone in the order to ringside, the remaining ones who are not involved in the match. However, Skyler was an idiot. His Google eyes were somewhere else, but thank God for Mila Moore, who decided to take matters in her own hands. So we'll see how things go from there. Now, the Elegant Brands, as you know, they are still part of the TNA Knockouts television tournament, but however, they are determined to win back what was taken from them, and that is, of course, the TNA Knockouts World Tag Team belts. So we'll see where that leads us. But of course, Chihuahua is seeing a whole lot better after being poison mist, that sort of thing. Now, the one thing I did like, of course, TNA has acknowledged Rebel. Many of you who may know this, Rebel was part of TNA before going to AEW and all that. They are, of course, on full support for her after her diagnosed with ASL or something like that. I think that's what it was. But I'm glad that they are acknowledging her. I mean, we know that AEW are doing things for her too, so we'll see where that plays out too. Now, we are in the quarterfinals of the TNA Knockouts television title. We have Thea Hale from NXT taking on Indy Hartwell. Now, this match basically ended up having a bye because apparently, let's just say there was a elimination that took place between Elena Black and Wendy Chu, and this is one of it. But it ended up very, very well, of course, on the matter. It was a pretty good match, but however, Indy Hartwell walked away with the win when she applied Hurt Donut, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, she moves on. Now, AJ Francis, as you know, goes out collecting, of course, donations for Expressions after he was taken out by by Moose and Elijah. So basically, you know how that goes. So he thinks that people need to do something. Now, KC Navarro made his way to the ring to speak on what happened last week. He talked about how things have been gone wrong for him. First, the passing of his uncle and all this. And then, of course, the system decided to jump into, trying to tell him to shut the hell up. No one cares about your little feelings and all that. But, of course, it became a 4-on-1 scenario. But thank God for Eichner and Slater and, of course, Souza for helping him out. So, as you probably can guess, the gatekeepers have their hands full as we speak. Now, ahead of their TNA Knockouts World Tag Team Belts Championship match, Ellie has been searching for, of course, a Rosemary, who was nowhere to be found. Now, I don't know what's going on here, but if I was a betting man, I would say that the Elegance brand did something in order to ensure they get what they want. Of course, Ellie had to talk to Daria, but of course, Daria with her little mean streak, Ellie had to had no other choice but to defend the tag belts on her own. So don't know exactly how that plays out, but yeah. Now, we did see an interview with Zaya Brookside about her actions, what happened. If you guys remember, during that match between Elena Black and Wendy Chu, it ended in a time limit draw. But of course, they wanted to go to 5 minutes, but Zaya Brookside, as you know, attacked Elena Black, and Wendy Chu tried to intervene for interfering. But of course, Wendy Chu told her, you're afraid of losing. That's the thing. And of course, someone had to tell her the truth. Even Elena Black appreciated Wendy Chu knowing that, Zaya Brookside is running her mouth and she had no business to get involved in what was happening. But of course, Santino says the next week it's going to be Zaya Brookside versus, of course, Wendy Chu for the TNA Knockouts World Title. So Layna Black tells her, "Hope you shut her up," and of course that's what Wendy Chu is determined to do. Now, in the guests we have, of course, Amy Garcia. Many of you know her from the show Dead City, but I do remember her from other shows such as, of course, the George Lopez sitcom, who she played the niece on that. And I forgot what other ones she played, but yes. Now we do have another match for the TNA Knockouts T, TV title. We have Knockouts tag team titles. My bad. We have, of course, the Elegance brand, Em and Heather taking on Ali on her own. But of course, this situation ended up in a 4-on-1 type. However, of course, what's his name? That little Chihuahua decided to use the belt in hopes to win, but he ended up getting his eyes gouged by Ellie, and then, of course, whacked by. Then later, Mr. Elegance got whacked by the belt, and then both Em and Heather, of course, did the same thing. So basically, all things turned out to help, but it's still unclear what really happened to Rosemary. But like I said, I wouldn't be surprised if somehow the Elegance brands had something to do with it. So we'll see where that goes. Now, we have the GOATs, of course, the GOATs of the tag team division, or should I say in tag team in general, the Hardys, of course, talking about what's going on now. But however, of course, as you know, like any other storyline when it comes to championships, sharks are always in the water. And this time, the sharks are in fact the Menace brothers, the current the TNA World Champion Nick Menace, and his little nepo baby brother Ryan Menace. And as you probably can guess, that they want these tag belts one way or the other, and they call their shots at, of course, Lockdown. And of course, the Hardys accepted. And Santino even said that he likes the idea, and he even told people, "Well, you want to see this? So yes, it's gonna happen." And then, of course, Ryan Menace got involved in the face of Amy Garcia, but Amy had enough, threw some coffee in his face, and then slapped him. So he got that coming to getting in her face. Now, of course, here we go again with AJ Francis getting donations for expressions. First with the referee, then later Hometown Man and Elijah, as you know. And of course, AJ Francis is saying it's your fault that expressions in this matter. But he said, well, he should have minded his own business. But he said, let's deal with it in lockdown in a steel cage. And that's going to be crazy. Now, Santino was in the back, of course, confronted by Daria, who's not happy with what she did, but of course, decided to have the TNA Knockouts tag team titles happen soon enough if they can find Rosemary. But also, apparently, Daria decided to have Harley Hudson's contract terminated, and Santino does not like that. Of course, Daria is nothing more than a buzzkill, so we'll see with that. Now we got another match of the quarterfinals of the TNA Knockouts TV title. We have Jody Threat versus Jada Stone. I thought this match was very impressive. I mean, many people might have thought that Jody Threat, who we have seen her as a veteran, would have picked up the win, but Jada Stone was able to roll her up, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, boom, she advances. So that turns out. Now, our main event is the TNA International Championship. Jason Hotch versus Mustafa Ali, and of course you have members of the Order of 4 on the side, Mala Moore, Tasha Steeles, John Skyler, and of course Agent Zero on the side. So that kind of sets it up right there. And of course, Ali would do whatever it takes to retain his belt, and that's exactly what he did. I mean, first he tried to use the ropes, but Tasha Steeles, of course, pushed the feet out of the way, then low blow. And then, of course, we saw Milo and Tasha Steeles get involved and then dragged out. But, however, it was Jason Hotch who walked away with the win when he applied a frog splash on Mustafa Ali. 1, 2, 3, boom. Brand new TNA International Champion. And, of course, you see his wife and daughter right there watching, celebrating, and I think this. But the real question right now we got to ask, what does this mean for the Order of 4? Does this mean Jason Hotch is out for defying Mustafa Ali? I don't know. So we'll just have to wait and see what happens next week. So stay tuned for that. But as of right now, we're done with TNA. Let's move on to our last review, AEW Collision. Okay, AEW Collision. As you know, they made their way to Detroit, but no one expected, but it would make sense, is the arrival of the Motor City Machine Guns. Yep, that's right, guys. Many of you may have heard what happened. They are now free agents. There was a video they put out where they're going to go, and of course, the obvious question was, where would they be? And this was the answer. Now, of course, TNA say the Motor City Machine Guns are always welcome to return to TNA, but of course, the obvious was they probably would head out to, of course, AEW, and that's what they would do, and that's exactly what they're going to plan to do, where the best wrestle, of course, and they want to be the team that do so. I mean, many of us know what they're all about, so we'll see how things go from there. Now, our opening match is the AEW World Trios Championships. The man, Bald Ricochet, Bishop Khan, and of course Mean and Ugly Tail Leona. Of course, they defend their belts against the Rascals. Now, of course, ever since the man won these belts, they put out challenges to anybody who's willing to step up, and luckily the Rascals were amongst those, and that's exactly. I mean, the match was pretty good. I have to say, good opener. I mean, the Rascals, in my opinion, they should be AEW World Trios champions to prove who they really are as a group. But however, of course, as any other type, we do see some tactics from the demand to ensure they won, and that's exactly what happened. But however, Zachary Wentz ended up being on the wrong side of the open the gates and pinned by Bishop Khan. 1, 2, 3. They retained the belts. Now, we did see the conglomeration, of course. As you know, they are like, well, they're pretty much are acknowledging, yes, we lost the belts and all this, but however, it seems that individually they all entered the Continental Cup or Intercontinental Cup, whatever it is, and they even put themselves in the ASL Ice Bucket Challenge and that sort. And he said, Orange said that they got a couple locals that will help out, so that's kind of do. And of course, they make nominations. Now, our next match, we have Tommaso Ciampa versus Nick Comoroto. Well, of course, you can tell there's moments from Ciampa where he's still dealing with the effects with the no holds barred, that thing. But he took out Nick Comoroto once again with the knee strike, which was always effective. So, just like that, 1, 2, 3, boom, over. Now, in the back, we did see Hangman Adam Page doing a video promo, and then, of course, here comes Brody King, who told them, that Bandito left. He couldn't stand by and watch what the conglomeration are going through, and Bandito even showed up saying that he was thankful for, of course, having Brodito's back. But Hangman Page thought, you know what? As you know, next week we are heading to Mexico City. He says, how about the three of us team up? And of course, Bandito goes out saying, I have an idea for a team name for this. El Bueno, El Malo y El Feo, which of course translates to the good, the bad, and the ugly, which is a reference to the Clint Eastwood film, if anybody saw those movies, of course. But the one thing that was funny is Brody goes, who's the ugly? Bandito and Hammond are like, not going to get into it. So I thought it was a great moment. Now, our next match, we have Azuki and the Brawling Birds teaming up, of course. They take on the MIT Diamante, Billy Starks, and Athena. Now, of course, Athena is determined to prove why she's the forever champion. We know she is bitter over the fact that she is determined to win, have an opportunity of the AEW Women's World title, but has failed miserably, and that's pretty much what's been happening since then. But man, it was a pretty good match. Great team up with Azuki and the Brawling Birds. But unfortunately, of course, Diamante ended up on the wrong side of the two birds, one stone, by, of course, Jamie Hayter. But it was Windsor who actually picked up the win, who was the legal person. Just like that, 1, 2, 3, it was over. However, of course, the post-match, well, the Divine Dominion decided to attack the Brawling Birds to send a message clear. But however, this left, of course, for Athena and the rest of MIT to brutally attack Azuki. So, I don't know what's going to happen in that set. But if I was Azuki, I would challenge for the ROH Women's World Championship. So we'll see where that goes there too. Now, the demand, as you know, they're not happy about the next challenge. And, they're like saying to Hangman and Brodito, what gives you the right to challenge? And that's pretty much what they're saying. Like, they think Hangman, Adam Page, and Brody have no right but since they challenge. But they are confident enough to believe they will walk out still as the AEW World Trios champions. But we'll see where that goes. Now, we did see, of course, the ASL Ice Bucket Challenge. The conglomeration, OC, Kyle, and Roderick were there. And the persons who dumped the ice on them is Gore. That's right, Rhino was in it. And of course, a couple of musicians who you guys know, Insane Clown Posse, and they actually pulled it off. I thought it was really fun to enjoy seeing that. Now, our next match is the Death Riders, more specifically Claudio, Pac, Wheeler, and John Moxley taking on the Bang Bang Gang. All of the 4 remaining members, Juice, Ace Austin, and the Guns. Now, however, as you know, this battle between them and the Death Riders is because of their association with the Dogs, and that was the main reason why it happened. Now, of course, many of us would have assumed that the Death Riders, with ways of using tactical ways to pick up wins, to cut off the enemy, all that sort of thing, would have been the deciding factor. But it was Juice who picked up the win by pinning Wheeler Yuta, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, it was over. However, of course, we did see a beatdown taking place by the Death Riders, and then the Dogs show up. But out of nowhere, Motor City Machine Guns just came out and saved the day. Now, I don't know exactly what the storyline they're going to put in here, but it's going to be great to see it. Now, Tommaso Ciampa, as you know, he made it perfectly clear he may have lost to Jericho at, of course, Redemption, but he made it clear the Psycho Killer is not dead yet. However, he made comments about, of course, the Casino Gauntlet that will take place, and of course at Mexico City, and not to mention Andrade, so you probably can guess where that could lead us. Now, our next match is Chris Statlander versus Aurora Teves, and a local, but of course this was going to fall in favor with Chris Statlander, and it ended with the Saturday Night Fever. 1, 2, 3, boom, adios. Now, we did see an interview with Fletcher and Speedball. Now, as you know, Speedball called his shot for the AEW International Championship at Mexico City, of course, for Grans Slam Mexico. And of course, things got out of control in the brawl, but of course, Speedball sent a direct message about how things is going to turn out. Now, Kevin Knight, as you know, decides to continue as the TNA champion, no, the TNT champion, my bad, calling out former champions to, of course, at the Grand Slam Mexico. But the real question is, who will be issuing the challenge? Well, I don't know. That's going to be a good question. Our next match, we have Jay Lethal taking on Commander. I thought this match was pretty good. Great high flying from Commander. He was able to pick up the win when he applied the running springboard shooting star press, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, boom. Now, before our main event, Jon Moxley made his way to the ring, as you know, to watch the main event, which is Will Ospreay versus Daniel Garcia. Obviously, Jon Moxley is still pissed after what Will Ospreay did, so he's hoping that Daniel Garcia break him, and that's exactly what he intended to do. But however, Will Ospreay was able to survive it by applying the hidden blade, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, it was over. However, of course, during the post-match, Mark Davis brutally showed up and attacked them, of course, and then he was intending to hurt him some more with the help of RPG Vice. But then, of course, Will Ospreay just was able to evade certain danger, but he did say the next week he wants Davis in a Mexican street fight, so that's going to be a very interesting match to watch. So I can't wait to see what's going to happen when we head to Arena Mexico for, of course, Grand Slam Mexico, so stay tuned for that. But as of right now, we are done with reviews. Let's move on to wrap up our episode with some news updates. Okay, so welcome to our news update. So let's begin, of course, with upcoming events with GCW. As you know, the 31st, which is this coming Saturday in Omaha, Nebraska, for top play, they have Teriyaki versus Leeds Lewis. Then the following day, of course, in Minneapolis, where, of course, we still continue with SummerSlam, Rude Awakening, the GCW Tag Team Championships will be on the line. Bussa and the Brain will defend against Janelasis, which consistent of Joey Janela and his real-life girlfriend, Megan Bayne. Now, of course, speaking of the Bad Boy, as you know, we have the 20 years of Bad Boy taking place on August 6th. It was announced that Bear Bronson will be in action to take on Marco Stunt. So this is going to be interesting. And then, of course, as you know, we have the two-day event in Atlantic City for Homecoming. On day 2, on the 16th of September, they just announced Controlled Chaos will be participating. And then finally, as you know, they announced for the newest show, The Score, that will take place on the 26th of September in Cincinnati, Ohio. They announced Vandal 48 will be there, Viperous, Busta and the Brain, and Aaron Lewis, who makes his return to GCW. Now, that's pretty much updates with GCW. Let's move on with more updates, upcoming events with Produce. Now, as you know, on August 3rd, we have the Volume 3 Asuka. Now, I haven't seen the recent Produce shows. I will do that in a separate episode, on a special episode, just to keep you guys in mind on. I really want to review these. We have, of course, Volume 3 Asuka. We have matches that have been announced. Scotty will take on Persephone. The Butcher will take on Josh Barnett. Minoru Suzuki will take on Echiseto. Now, that's a match I definitely want to watch. We have Gabby Forza versus Dark Sheik. What else? We even have Alley Catch, Shooty, as you all know, she's on Excursion. Emerson Jane, they take on Steph Delanders, Billy Starks, and Johnny Robbie. Now, we do have Volume 4 for Genesis Rex. They'll take place on the 13th of September. They just announced the JCW World Title. The Jersey Championship Wrestling World Championship will be on the line. The Root of All Evil, Charles Mason, will defend it against Steve Macklin. So that's going to be very interesting. So that's it for upcoming events with Produce. Now, we have some from House of Glory, of course. As you know, on August 7th, we have the High Intensity event. They announced the Hardys will be participating. Now, they haven't mentioned if they will be defending the House of Glory tag team belts. Well, we'll see about that. And then a new show has been mentioned in Chicago on the 4th of September called Fallout. So that's pretty much right there. Now, Produce will be doing a collaboration with Action Wrestling in September on the 13th called Dean Sunday School. They announced a dog collar match, Mad Dog Connolly versus Slade. And then finally, of course, Canadian promotion Maple Leaf Pro Wrestling has announced for the 3rd of October, Northern Rising. They announced, of course, a fellow Canadian and someone who's been well recognized throughout the world, Adam Copeland, will be participating. This is huge news, so I can't wait to see that. Now, I have to review the Maple Leaf shows also on a special episode, so I will catch up with those soon enough. Now, moving on to some developments here. Mayu Iwatani has appeared in Mighty Gold, announcing her in-ring return, and this will happen on the 9th of August for the Summer Destiny, which is coming up soon. However, it later was told that she'll be teaming up with Victoria Yuzuki to take on Suri and her tag partner, someone who Mayu knows too well, Takumi Iroha. Together, both Suri and her known as Spark Rush. So that's going to be impressive to watch. Chi-Chi did an interview recently, of course, and she talked about having a produced show of her own, and she said this is something that she had thought about for quite some time, and she said she wants to make it pink, cute, but intense fighting spirit. And I think that's really important. I mean, it's cool that you want to have this vision, but you have to have that intense fighting, and I appreciate her. Now, many of you may have heard about MyAEW, which is a streaming service where you can watch AEW. Well, here's what it was later foretold. Now we have the names of what promotions they are streaming. Some people are pissed off saying that, oh, AEW is taking all of the competition. No, even some people are saying, no, WWE did that, not AEW. No one, the AEW does not control the talent, unlike WWE. What they did, like look what they did with the UK scene. They messed things up. But here's exactly what I do know. Here's the promotions that they have already streaming. We have Maple Leaf Pro Wrestling, of course, Mayhem. We have CML, Pro Wrestling Eve, Revolution Pro, West Side Extreme Wrestling, WrestleCade, Metroplex Wrestling, United Wrestling Network, America's Most Liked Wrestling, Create a Pro, Wrestle Pro, Warrior Wrestling, One Fall Wrestling, Limitless Wrestling, Produce, and C4. So these are practically the promotions and the indies that you can actually stream on MyAEW. So that pretty much has been self-clear from that too. So I can't wait to see what else on that. Now, Wrestling Observer, more specifically Brian Alvarez, was talking about how WWE are not happy with Tony Khan's booking towards Persephone. And this is what they said. I heard that many people in WWE who were just baffled at Tony Khan's usage of Persephone. They're just like, what this guy's doing? She got so much potential. If her deal comes up, WWE's gonna want to take her instantly. Meanwhile, all she does is show up on TV, do jobs as a CML Women's Champion. Now, I get what WWE are trying to do, but some people even commented about this, saying, what difference does it make if it was WWE? We've seen, of course, time and time again how WWE booked their talent. So, to me, I would like to say this. WWE, spare me the crap, okay? You guys do the same thing, so don't give me that crap. Maybe the reason they're like this is because they're bitter because they didn't get to her in time. That's what I think. How many of you guys would agree with that? You think they're bitter because they wish they would have gotten her first before AEW? Well, you guys tell me. Leave a comment down below because I know WWE are crying like little bitches. That's what they're doing. So, right now we are done with everything, with all our reviews, all of our updates. Let's call it a day. Well, I hope everybody enjoys this episode. Coming up, I will be doing a separate news updates. I want to put this one more about updates and developments going on with, of course, with Yoshi Promotion Mighty Gold. So a lot of things came around, so stay tuned for that. And as for our next episode, I am considering probably doing Ring of Honor, but I have to decide if I want to add some things into it. Now, the G1 Climax, I will do that on a special episode. The same thing with the 5-Star Grand Prix. I'm almost near completion, catching up with the 5-Star Grand Prix, so I need to catch up with, of course, with G1 and a lot of things. So we'll see how that plays too. So stay tuned for that. But until then, I will see you guys in the next DWZ time. Same DWZ channel. I must bid all of you adieu. So, goodbye. Mwah. And have a nice day. Bang.